Welcome to the Market Snapshot. This is Dan French with Nova Home Loans, your go-to loan expert here in Las Vegas. And I'm here today with my friend Chakits Krulsawat from Simply Vegas. How you doing today, Chuck?
I'm doing excellent. How's everybody doing, guys?
Great. It's a privilege and a pleasure to educate the Las Vegas community here. And I wanted just to throw a shout out to Doug. Doug, how's your day going today, man?
My day's going great now that you guys are here.
So, guys, I just want to say thank you for tuning into our show. Some of the things that's going on in Vegas, we have an event going on, the American Taekwondo Association. You know anything about this, Chuck?
Not at all. Not at all. Do you know anything about it?
Tell me. I did a little research on it because there's about 5,000 people coming in for this. It's over at the Las Vegas Convention Center. And what's great about this is that, not only does it bring a lot of people here, but, this guy, his name is Hong Ung Lee, started this out. And
Hong Long Yi.
Yeah. So what else is going on in the market, Chuck?
Well, what's going on in the market is the Golden Nugget actually just spent a nearly $6.5 million on a renovation on 20,000 square feet on their convention center. And guys, this is so important because this is what's happening. Downtown is popping off. They're putting money into downtown. That's why, if you notice, the zip codes of 89101 has gone up 43%. Keep in mind, the downtown project had put nearly $250 million in renovations in downtown. Unbelievable, guys.
Wow. Sounds like the Golden Nugget's golden.
That's right.
What else is going on?
Open houses, guys. If you guys notice, you guys are driving around, seeing a lot of open houses out there. What's going on is that a lot of these sellers had overpriced their home. Okay. So the listing agent made a commitment that, hey, I'm going to sell at this price. So these agents are going out there and they got to sell the home. So they're doing everything that they can, guys.
Guys, we got a great show today. I want to quickly give you the market rundown here.
The Market Rundown.
Today we're going over the housing market statistics. We do this every week. We're going to go over the interest rate trending. I'm going to talk about how banks look at collections. What's involved with closing costs? Chuck and I are going to talk about that. I'm also going to tell you about what's allowed fees veterans can pay. And we're going to go to that new segment in our show, Lender versus Realtor Face-Off. And guys, if you have a free mortgage assessment, or if you want any questions regarding the show, call in studio today at 257-5396 or schedule an appointment with me at 781-6682. That's 781-NOVA. And if you want to ask me a question on Twitter, you can tweet me at 781-NOVA. And if you want to go to my website, you can go to danfrenchnova.com. You can view all the good things that's going on there at Nova Home Loans. Chuck, we also put together a series of educational videos. What is that for our audience?
It's a library of educational videos for the first-time home buyers, or if you're looking to invest for the first time, or if you're even thinking about selling. To find it, visit simplyvegashomes.com on the navigation on the bar on the right-hand side. Take notes. Go ahead and click on that. Also, we have started filming all our shows, so if you guys miss anything, please visit simplyvegashomes.com, and we leave our shows up there for a week. So if you miss something, go back to the show and watch the show, guys.
We also are going to give away a free appraisal and a free home inspection to anyone that gets a loan or gets a home through us. Did you know
free?
That?
Why are you always giving away free stuff?
We have to do it, man. We have to do it.
That's the right thing to do, guys.
We also are going to give away a free Sammy's Pizza or free lunch for two to Sammy's Pizza at the end of the show. So the first caller that calls in will get this at the end of the show.
Free?
Yeah, we scheduled a lot of appointments last week. Again, you can schedule a free consultation with myself or Chakits at 781-6682. That's 781-NOVA. And what's going on in the housing market, Chuck?
Well, the housing market, oh my God, it's so exciting what's going on, guys. Here's the thing, guys. We're going to bring you the data play by play from week to week, okay, according to the multiple listing service, which includes single-family residence, condos, townhomes, also manufactured homes, duplexes, triplexes, and fourplexes, also high-rises, but not including for sale by owners or new homes. Overall inventory, we have increased in listings by 6%. An additional increase in sales by 13% since last week, guys. What this means to you guys is that the sellers out there are getting a head start by putting their property on the market before the summertime hits. Now, keep in mind, if you guys are thinking about selling your home, now's the time to do it because the mindset of a seller is constantly, hey, let's wait till the summertime. Keep in mind, if majority of the people that are going to sell their home and they're going to put their home on the market during the summertime, imagine all these sellers flooding the home. So guys, now's the time to put your home on the market if you're thinking about selling and price it correctly. Now for private sales, this is where equitable sellers that actually have equity in their home, 86% of the homes today on the market are private sales. The inventory had increased by 6% and also has increased in sales by 12%. Now, what that means is that the sellers are starting to understand the conditions of the marketplace and are starting to reduce the price of their home to meet fair market value, guys. Now, short sales. Short sales are 10% of market shares today and also had declined by 1% and also declined in sales by 13%. And the reason why this is taking place is because majority of the home buyers in today's market, they're looking to purchase a home and close it within 45 days of a fully executed contract. Majority of the buyers that are buying short sales right now are investors because they can put multiple offers and they can sit and wait and pick and choose if they're going to get the deal or not. Now let's go to REOs, guys. REOs are actually bank-owned property, stands for real estate owned. Now, they hold about 4% of the market, and inventory actually risen 4%. This is very important because of the notice default. You know how we talked about it last week, the increase. So it's starting to flood into the market and also had an increase in sales by 1%. Guys, the median home price today is at $200,000, which dropped 2% since the beginning of the year. That is such an amazing thing.
Wow.
Now, here's the thing. Buyers around this price range of $200,000 is going to be very challenging in today's market. That's why it's so important to get with guys like us that know what we're doing. So that way, when we start writing offers, we can get your offer accepted. We want to get you in the right direction, guys. Education is key here. Now, talking about that, we actually had a client that we qualified. Well, I didn't qualify. Dan qualified. From there, what we did was we sat down with this client and educated her of what's going on with the marketplace. And guys, and this is
Was that Sharon?
Ms. Jones?
Yeah.
This is so important. Okay, education here because of the price point that she is at $150,000. It's very challenging to get into home, guys. It really, really is. And you guys got to get with a professional like us that really understands the market, where we can leverage it out and get you the home that you guys really want, and we're not wasting any time. So what we did was we actually sat down with her, educate her within the marketplace. We also talked about how a real estate transaction works, and that's very important.
Right.
From start to ending.
Right.
Okay. Also, we talked about financing. Good faith estimates. What are your fees? What are the deals? I mean, this is so important, okay? So these are the topics that we cover. Also, fees and closing costs, guys. This is so important. We sit down, we find out what your financial situation is because we need to make sure that cash out of pocket to close this deal, you have enough. Remember, guys, I'm on your team, okay? I want to make sure that we're not wasting any time and you're not just spending money, guys. That is so, so important. Also, the next thing is you need to understand who are the major players within a real estate transaction. Your lender, your agent, your escrow officer, the appraisal, your home inspection. You guys have to know all this. It's so, so important. Also, customary practices in today's market. This is such a trendy city where when you write an offer, it's never the same. 1 minute we're in REOs where we can ask for closing costs. The next minute we can't ask for closing costs. So that is so, so important. And the next thing, we actually start going out looking at homes. So that's the fun part.
That's the fun
now,
part.
Once we're under contract, what we do is we don't just leave you and never call you again.
Right.
We actually hold your hand through the process, and you get constant updates.
What's your average time to get somebody into contract?
Well, at this price, it really depends on the price point, but we've been doing this for some time, and we built relationship with other listing agents in there. And the main thing is, if our clients is educated and they go through all this and they understand what's going on, and they let us lead the way, we can get you in a contract in less than a week. And literally, Mrs. Jones, she's going into contract this week.
So because she's, I'm not going to say challenging, but because the amount that she's approved for,
yes,
you're going to still be confident you'll be able to get her into a home very quickly.
Yes, and the reason why that takes place is because we are so aggressive. Once we see a property, we're out there, we're looking. You love it, we're writing offers. We keep going. And it comes down to how you write the offers and how you build a rapport with the agent, because every transaction is very unique on its own. So when we talk to an agent, what I'm trying to do is become his friend, find out from the agent, hey, what do I got to do to get this deal done?
Right.
So,
okay.
I mean, that's kind of like our techniques and strategies that we use to get deals locked up here.
If you guys want another or a free mortgage assessment, you can always reach us outside studio at 781-6682. That's 781-NOVA. If you have any questions regarding the show, you can call in at 702-257-5396. And we're going to go right into the interest rate trending, guys. I'm going to talk about mortgage bond prices finished the week higher, which pushed rates lower. Weaker than expected data Thursday morning helped rates fall. And this is good news. European central banks began their bond buying program, which caused some unusual volatility across the global financial markets. Federal Chairman Janet Yellen clearly indicated last month that the Fed will consider still rate hikes. And what that means is that they're not going up yet. They have been going up. I told you since the beginning of February they've gone up. We got back about 1/8 of a point last week. So they're about 3/4 of a point up since the beginning of February. If you have not looked at the options for you as far as purchasing a home, taking advantage of where rates are at, I highly recommend it because I don't know how long this is going to last.
So as a consumer, should I be warned?
This is your warning. You know, I don't know. Again, nobody has a crystal ball, but I think at some point they're going to go up. And when they start to go up, if you're listening to the show, you're going to know, you know what? I should have acted when he told me to act.
And keep in mind, guys, prices have increased in sales, too, by 13%. So things are moving along. So you guys got to take advantage now. And if you're not in that situation where you think you're not qualified, it's best to get started now to figure out where you're at. Because when you are ready to buy, the last thing you want to do is find out you're not really ready to buy, guys.
Exactly. And here's another thing that I've talked about every single week, and I want to go over this again. Key points to finding the right loan officer. You want to look at there's a blend of things that you look at. The loan officer part of it is kind of the end result, but what I would look at in just getting started with getting a loan and then eventually making the decision on a loan officer is I would look at the interest rate first. Everybody knows that that's very important. It's important because it dictates your payment. It will also dictate the amount that you're approved for. Now, if rates go up, that means you're less approved or less amount you'll be approved for. So you got to look at that. The other thing you got to look at is fees. What are the fees that company's charging you versus, let's say, my company or another company? It's your option out there to go out and exercise your opportunity to look and see what companies are charging. You know, a lot of companies out there that I've seen that have come in and spoke with me, they do charge miscellaneous fees. You know, they have an application fee, they have a credit pull fee. These things are things that I don't charge for. It's not saying that you want to deter yourself away from working with them, but what you want to do is you want to make sure that you're getting the best deal. The other thing you look at is the service. You need to have a loan officer like myself that's going to hold your hand through the process. We're going to look at the efficiency side of it. We're going to put you on a game plan, put you on a step-by-step procedure that will allow you to really, from A to Z, have a very comfortable and smooth transaction into the new home that you're getting into. And then you want to have somebody that's going to listen to you, because when you come in and you discuss things, all I'm doing is listening. I'm listening to your goals. I'm listening to what your needs are. I'm listening to what your accomplishments are. And that's really a good sign of a loan officer as well, because you want to take control and kind of, paint the picture, if you want to say, or drive that bus to where you think they'll be able to get approved at, but you also got to listen to what their goals are and what they are trying to obtain by getting this loan.
Now, Dan, when you're talking about fees and when a consumer goes out there and you start shopping a loan, what do they need to ask for as far as to find out what the fees are?
Well, what you got to look at is one indication is look at the APR, because if the APR is higher versus, let's say, another APR from another company, that really will determine what you're being charged. And if it's higher, that means that company's charging you higher in fees. And I don't want to go into details, because then you're going to go on there and you're going to try to look for things. Really, that's what I would tell every consumer out there, is to look at that, because that's really a good indication of how much you're being charged, if you're being overcharged. And ultimately, I don't know about you, if I'm out there and I'm looking for a home, I want to get the best deal. Friends, family, whoever I'm working with, I'm looking out for myself and my family. I'm going to really look and try to get the best deal that's available.
So it sounds like you need to get a good faith estimate then, and it'll show you the breakdown.
Yeah, you get a good faith estimate and you look at the fees, and then, personality's got to fit as well. But if you have confidence and you have trust that's been instilled by your loan officer, hopefully you're moving forward with that person. The other thing I want to tell you is what Nova Home Loans has to offer. Okay, we have most of our competitors out there, and we were just talking about this. I think they make it more difficult than it really is to go out and get a loan. I think with looking at other companies, they make it seem like it's harder to get the process going. The step-by-step procedure that they do apply or provide to the client is really not something that's very efficient. And I'm here to tell you, it's not that hard. It's really an easy process. It's something that when you get in with us, not only am I going to look to make this simplistic as possible, but I'm looking to save you fee or money and looking to help you get into this loan with little or no money out of pocket. And that's something I really try to do. At Nova Home Loans, we offer what's called a lender credit. And the lender credit is something that, again, it's a rebate back to your closing costs, and it comes when you lock in the rate. And our company does that primarily on FHA and VA loans. We still offer it on conventional, but it's not as big. But we offer it to help people get into loans easier and have a little bit more in their pocket when they do get into a home, because everybody wants to have some money
Correct.
when they get into a home.
And keep in mind, guys, if you guys think your credit's bad or it's just not there, you still need to sit down with Dan and get a game plan. You got to start somewhere, guys.
I also wanted to tell you guys, we're going to go over a few things here today. And right now I'm going to talk about the money savings of the week. And what that's about, guys, is this. I had a guy, his client came into my office. His name was James, trying to get a refinance on Wednesday, and he had a ton of equity in his property. And I said, James, what's your goals? What are you trying to do? And he goes, well, listen, I just want to reduce my payment, and I want to take away the FHA mortgage insurance. And I said, okay, well, listen, you're not doing this at a bad time. We've lost a little bit of pricing, but you know what? You're still saving money. And roughly just off of that, I saved him $159.
Car payment, guys.
Again, I don't know what car you're driving, but the $159, we saved him. He was looking at it. I looked at his other options, and I said, listen, you have some other things on here that has some debt and some things that you might want to consider paying off. You have enough equity to do that. He goes, I didn't even know I can do that. So we looked at his options. We looked at all of his credit trade lines, paid off all of his debt. We did pay off a car payment, but it wasn't $159, Chakits. But we did pay off his car. We did pay off some of his credit cards. We did pay off some other things that were on there. And at the end of the day, he's saving $159 and he's removing debt because his property increased in equity. I think that's a huge value to everybody here, that if they're listening to this, look and see if that's something you can do and something that you can take advantage of.
And it seems like he's able to start his life and reposition it to better himself and his family, and he can kind of start all over and start moving forward. That's great.
People like James is why it's a benefit, and like I said, it's a pleasure and a privilege to help these people, because these people come to you for help, and when you can help them accomplish things that they're looking for and then exceed that, it's a great feeling. It's a huge accomplishment for me, and that's why I'm in this business. I love helping people. So let's go over and talk about collections and how banks look at collections. Do you know anything about this?
No, I'm not a lender. You are.
Okay, so what? That is true. So here's the thing. The problem with this is that I think most people go into it thinking collection accounts are really for people having, it's kind of a scary thing. They don't know what they're getting into. They don't know how to attack them. And, the alternate solution is, most banks will say, listen, pay off everything. You want to pay off everything because at least that'll assure you getting the loan. And in most cases, I would say it's a pretty good assessment. But I will tell you that the real solution is you got to look at a case-by-case situation, because it's really dependent on what loan program you get into. It's dependent on what's on your credit, what the collections are on your credit. If it's medical bills and things like that, a lot of times it's overlooked. And these things are not something that's going to be come in as consideration. Now, if it's a high amount of a medical bill, let's say it's $20,000 or higher, well, that could jeopardize you getting the loan, and the bank might say, hey, listen, you need to pay this off. But if you're going into it, what I'd like to do is provide a little bit of more understanding of what collections are and how you can address them with your loan officer or myself. What it is if you have an FHA loan, which is a Federal Housing Association, if you're going out and you're trying to get an FHA loan, there is some restrictions on this. Like I said, medical bills are not that they're not something that they really look at. They really overlook that as far as going into underwriting. But if you have collections that exceed $2,000 or more, you have to have a payment applied to that. As a loan officer, I will apply that payment to you. Okay, that's something that is a guideline. And what it does is it really says, look, these companies, they're not really coming after you at this point. I mean, they're requesting you pay it back. But if it does come into a position, well, guess what? We already hit you for a payment, and we've already adjusted for your debt and your payment. Now, when it does come in, if they ever do try to come after you for it, well, you guess what? The payment's already there, and you're already established with that. Now, if you have disputes on your credit through FHA, okay, any disputes that are over $1,000, you have to have those removed. That's something that, and here's the thing with disputes. You go into a dispute and let's say you have a credit rating that's relatively high, it will drop a little bit because that dispute's kind of in a freeze mode, okay? The other thing you got to look at, let's take a look at VA loans, okay? In most situations, you'll be fine. VA is the best loan product that's out there, Okay, and I'm going to say that again. It's the best loan product that's out there. It requires no down payment. There's no mortgage insurance, and it's the most lenient when it comes into underwriters and what they look at. Underwriters and situations with collections, they really bypass most, I'm going to say almost all collections that come through unless there is something that is a significant amount. Now, when you go into it, what their biggest thing is that if you have a collection account that's active, they want you to be, the underwriters want you to bring it up current and bring the payment current. So that's something that's important. But if it's a long, standing collection account or something that's been on your credit, you do want to obviously not have to, you want to talk to your loan officer. You want to look at the case-by-case situation as far as what that is. And that's something that if you're a veteran, that's a real advantage because most people, especially in going FHA or conventional, they are required to address those. And conventional, more so, we're going to jump right into conventional. Conventional loans, you have to pay off everything typically. That's an underwriter's decision as far as what they need to pay off. You really, again, if it's medical bills and things that are related to medical bills, then you can bypass that. But conventional loans, you have to pay everything off typically because they don't want to have any negativity coming into this. And Chuck, conventional loans, they're already a higher, they're restrictive. They're more restrictive than any other loan out there. So have you had anybody ever dealt with any collections that you sent over to me? And, have you ever talked to anybody that has collections?
Yeah, I mean, what we normally do is, once we talk to the client, we find out what their situation is, and that's why I always send them to you because that's more of your field, and you know what needs to be done. But keep in mind that not everything has to be paid off, only certain things. But again, Dan is the professional on this. He can guide you in the right direction, tell you what to do in order for us to get you a loan. And I'm in that situation right now, guys, with the duplex, and there's certain things that I have to get adjusted in order to obtain that loan.
Yeah, and here's the thing with that. I'm going to go right into that. If you have a 2 to 4 unit building or home, if you want to say, anything totaling over $5,000 in collections, it's mandated that this is paid off and paid up to where it needs to be.
I better make a payment.
And if you guys have any questions regarding the show or you have any questions regarding collections, 702-257-5396. And I would also like to tell you guys that if you have any questions outside of the show, if you want to schedule a free consultation, you can reach me at 781-6682. That's 781-NOVA. I got a question coming in from Carlos, Twitter question. Carlos's question is, I had a student loan. I have student loan collection accounts, and I stopped paying them. What is the requirement, and why am I being turned down from getting a loan? Well, the reason is this. I'm assuming it's an FHA loan from what it sounds, but if it's a government loan or it's an insured government loan, just like FHA is, it doesn't look good to banks. And what FHA's Federal Housing Association, what their purpose is that they give you a loan and it's insured against the government. Now, if you're going to get a student loan and you're late and you're not paying it, well, what does that tell you? What does that tell the bank about you? It tells them that you might not pay the loan. So what you got to do is you got to get that student loan collection up to speed. You got to get it where it needs to be and start making those payments. And guess what? If you get in that position, Carlos, I guarantee you come back to me and you look at the same situation, I'm going to get you approved for a loan.
That sounds great.
The other thing that we were going to talk about here is we're going to talk about closing costs. And Chuck, I want to hear your take on closing costs. You talked a little bit about it in the beginning of the show. Tell me what's going on with closing costs.
Well, here's the thing. That's why when we sit down with our clients, education is the key, and we need to figure out what their financial situation is as far as can they even pay closing costs, because you're also going to have fees as far as home inspection, also an appraisal. But closing costs are fees based upon the front end of the loan, of how much it's going to cost you to obtain the loan, depending on the type of loan you have. And also the closing cost on the back end is typically about 3 to 3.5% of the closing costs. Mm-hmm. So again, that's why it's so important that we find out what your financial situation is. So that way, once we go to the closing table, you have that money to close.
Yeah. I'm going to tell you, most clients that I meet with about closing costs, they really don't understand all the details on the loan as far as what they're being charged. They get information, but some of the resources and some of the details, like I said, they're not coming through to the consumer. And my goal is to educate you and let you know what you're getting into when you do get into closing costs. The last thing you want from anybody like myself or even Chuck is we don't want to get you in a position where you're ready to go sign a title and then all these fees come up and you don't really know where these fees came from.
And keep in mind, guys, if you guys don't have the money to close on time, number one, you can lose that deal.
Yeah.
Or if you request an extension, that's more money out of your pocket, guys. That's so important. You know, you don't want to breach the contract because you could lose that earnest money deposit.
When we come back, we're going to cut the break. When we come back, we're going to go over again closing costs with Chuck. This is Dan French with Nova Home Loans and
.com, or you can call me directly at 702-216-3907. And to learn more about home financing, please make sure to tune into the Market Snapshot every Sunday from 12 to 1 p.m. to find out all the information that's going on in financing and real estate.
NMLS number 369115. Broker number 0902429.
Welcome back to the Market Snapshot. This is Dan French here with Nova Home Loans, and we're going to jump onto a call here. We got to call Travis. He's sitting here. Travis, you online?
Yes, I am.
What's going on, Travis? How can we help you?
Yeah, I was denied for a loan while under contract. I was just curious if you could explain to me why this would happen if I was originally approved.
Well, I think a lot of times loan officers don't do their work up front, and they don't really look at all the details on what that person has up front. And I think what typically happens is something was overlooked that's very important. Now, it's okay to get those, the big red flags out of the way, and the smaller red flags are something we can handle. But if it's something that's a bigger issue than what it is, that's probably what's occurred. And that's really not a good thing to do, especially if you're looking to work with somebody as a loan officer. What is your options now? Do you have any options now?
No options right now.
Why don't you give me a call, and like I said, I tell everybody on the show, I give a second opinion. Even if I can't get you approved now, I will get you approved at some point. You can reach me outside studio at 781-6682. That's 781-NOVA. We'll sit down for a 30-minute consultation, see where this is at. We'll dissect and find out exactly where that problem occurred and see if we can fix that for future.
Okay, awesome. Sounds good.
All right, Travis, thanks for calling in.
So, Dan, does that mean like this could have been fixed like from the beginning?
Well, sometimes what happens is if you're somebody that's looking for really educating the client and then putting a client in a position to buy a home, they really need to look at all avenues. And I think in this situation, it sounds like the loan officer did not look at all avenues. Sometimes nobody's perfect. Some things do come up.
Correct.
But it's the big things that you look for, and usually that comes from experience. Usually it's somebody that's really taken the time to review every client and their needs, and I think that was one of the things that maybe occurred here.
So if you cross your T's and dot your I's, deals can still fall apart at underwriting as well, right?
Yeah, and that's what you don't want. You don't want to have a situation where a client goes to you, they're putting their trust in you, and you get to the 10th hour and you're dropping the ball, and underwriters and everybody's like, well, how did you approve this person? And nobody understands why, and you got to go to the client, you got to go to the real estate agents that's involved and tell them, hey, this person's not approved. Now guess what?
Everybody loses out.
Everybody loses.
Especially the buyer out there.
Yeah, and the buyer's going to have that reflection. And you know what? Like we always talk about every show, you're as good as your last loan or your last home, right?
That's correct. And also, guys, what's important is while you guys are currently in escrow and you're going through the underwriting process, don't go out there and buy a new car. This happens sometimes as well.
And you're correct on that, Chuck. Let's go back into closing costs and some, like I said before we went to break, some of the clients on this, they look at the closing costs that they're getting involved and they don't really understand the process. They don't understand the details of what they're being charged. And again, that comes back to looking at the good faith estimate, comes back to really looking and seeing what is really being charged to you as a client. And what we look at is, what I want to tell you is look at this. I put together a bullet list of basically of things that you want to look at when you're getting into a loan. One of the things you want to look at is you want to look at, like we've talked about, what is your lender charging you in fees? Now that's important because that's going to ultimately determine what that company is charging you to get the loan done. The other thing is yes, I'm sure you are going to be very, something that you're going to look at as far as real estate agents, but what is your realtor charging you? What are they charging you in fees as well?
$0.
Yeah, right. Also, what is the title fees? Now, this is something that most people do not understand. Now, when you say title fees, it's things that's involved like the lender's policy, the owner's policy, you got a transfer tax, those types of fees that you really don't see up front. Those are things that you got to look at. Now, when you're writing a contract, Chuck, talk to me about how you write these fees in that contract.
Here's the thing. It depends on the type of home that you're buying, and how we write the offer. And that's why it's so important. Once we write the offer, I'm going to sit down with you and go by line and explain to you exactly what those fees are, so that way I can punch it into the system and I can show you, hey, this is what closing costs is going to be. Okay.
Yeah, and you also got to look at the impounds and what that is. That's your taxes and insurance, and you have to collect enough up front, especially when you go into title. You'll see those on the good faith estimate as well, but that's so that it would project the amount that's being distributed from your escrow company whenever you get involved with a loan, and then when your loan closes, they're going to take that money that you've put up front. You basically put money aside in most cases. You do have an option to pay this outside of closing, but most cases it's escrowed through your payment, and then they collect upfront money from you so they can distribute that money on a monthly basis.
And keep in mind, here's the thing. It depends when you close too as well. Day by day as it goes along towards the end of the month, your fees are always going to change. Just because your fees are, at this price today and you ask for extension, 3 days extension to close, it may be a little bit different then. So keep that in mind, guys.
I got a question coming in from Twitter. This guy's name's John. I went to title and had to pay additional amount of fees that were involved in the HOA package. How do I know about this, or how can I address this?
Well,
I think what you're looking at here is that sometimes when you go to title, there's their HOA fees that's involved that maybe you really can't project the amount that you're being paid, but sometimes you have to buffer for those fees. Is that correct?
Well, based on that question, I don't really understand that question, because typically on the HOA resale package, by law, the seller has to pay for that up front and present it over to the buyer. But what can happen is where the buyer pays for it up front and the seller will reimburse it at the end of closing.
Okay.
Also, sometimes you have HOA demands where it would be put on the buyer's side. And again, this comes back to how you negotiate the deal in the contract. And that's why it's so important when we negotiate it, I'm going to sit down with you and punch in the numbers to say, hey, this is what you're paying for.
If you guys want a free mortgage assessment or you have any questions regarding the show, call in studio today at 257-5396. You can schedule an appointment outside studio at 781-NOVA. That's 6682. And Chuck, I want to tell the audience one more time, we put together a series of educational videos. What is that?
It's called Take Notes, and you can view it at simplyvegashomes.com. It's an educational video for the first-time home buyers, or even if you're looking to buy a second home. It's also great for investors, and also if you're deciding to sell. It's a bunch of real estate professionals in the industry to give you tips and tricks within the real estate market. Also, if you guys just tuned into this show and, just missed half of the segment, you guys can visit simplyvegashomes.com and watch us as well.
So let's wrap up the closing costs. If you guys have any questions about closing costs or anything out there about closing costs that we've talked about on the show, please schedule a free consultation. Again, it's 781-6682. That's 781-NOVA. Let's talk about what VA loans and what they're allowed to pay. Now, do you understand VA loans and how they work and what veterans are allowed to pay? Or
just a little bit here and there. That's more your field. And I think we're currently under contract right now. There's certain things that the buyer has to pay for, and there's certain things that the seller has to pay for.
So I put together another bulleted list of things that veterans can pay, and one of them is they can pay a 1% origination fee towards the purchase of the loan. Now that's important because I think a lot of people that are veterans out there, they think that they don't have an option to pay anything. Now you can't pay for things like processing and underwriting, so you can pay for an origination fee though, and you have to put it as an origination fee. That would be the origination. The other thing is you got to look at what is the other fees that's involved. Now a termite inspection, they can't pay for that, correct?
That's correct, and the seller is required to pay for that. And here's the thing, only an experienced agent would know that up front, because here's the thing, when we submit an offer, the listing agent wants to work with an experienced agent that knows how to close the deal. By writing that in, they will know that right off the get-go.
Veterans can also pay for discount points, and what that means is they can buy down their interest rate if they'd like to,
nice.
If they want to lower their payment. Now, one thing you got to look at is that other than impounds or prepaid fees, if you want to say, and the 1% origination that they can pay towards, really those other additional costs cannot be paid by the veteran. And now who has to pay those? Well, it's either the seller or it's myself as a lender. And one of us have to pay those fees. Now, the way that I do it is I, again, apply a lender credit to offset that. Now, if you're a real estate agent out there and you're saying, well, what option should I take? Should I just let the lender pay for it? I don't know if I would take that route.
No, typically what I'll do is I'll negotiate into the contract and have the seller pay for it. So
correct.
That way it just makes it a lot easier that way.
So, with these fees, I think there's a lot of there's confusion on it because I think a lot of people out there don't understand what they can and can't pay for. The other things veterans can pay for is they can pay for well and septic inspection fees. They can pay the VA funding fee. These things are important. Now, VA funding fee is obviously an amount that the VA contributes to the client themselves for the loan. The other thing is you got to look at, now we look at the fact that there's also non-allowable fees. Okay, some of the things that they can't pay for is attorney fees or title commitment fees. Like we talked about, the lender appraisal fee. Now, they can pay for an appraisal for themselves, but they can't pay for a lender's appraisal. Now, there's a big difference there. We talked about the termite inspection. They cannot pay for that. Loan closing or settlement fees, they can't pay for that. So it's really important that you look at the details, again, of when you're going to closing costs and you're going to say, hey, I'm a veteran, what do I pay for? You really got to have somebody like me or Chuck that's going to tell you, hey, you can do this or you can't do this. In most situations, it's handled up front. We don't ever have any issues. But again, if it's not negotiated in the closing costs into your contract to help that as far as getting that loan completed, then I have to apply a lender credit as a company and help offset the additional closing costs.
That's correct.
So, Chuck, you ready to go into our lender versus realtor face-off?
Let's do this.
Let's get it on.
All right, you want to ask the first question or you want me to ask you?
I'm going to ask the first question.
Go ahead.
Why do realtors send the fully executed contract on a short sale with only 2 to 3 weeks to close typically? Because I see that all the time.
That really has nothing to do with the agent. That has to do with the asset manager at the bank. And typically what happens is you'll get that and say you guys have to close within 2 weeks. But again, that's why it's so important to find out from your lender exactly, hey, how many days is going to take you to close on this deal. Not only that, what can happen is we can always go back and ask that asset manager, hey, we need an extension as well. So don't be afraid of that, guys.
What's an asset manager?
An asset manager is where the service company with the bank, he handles that portfolio and he does the negotiating on behalf of the bank.
All right. What's
okay,
your question?
let me ask you a question. Here you go. How long does it take for Nova Home Loans to close on a deal as far as FHA, VA, and conventional? How many days can it take you to close?
Well, I think VA, because we can't order a VA appraisal. Now, they've gotten better.
Okay.
But I think you're going to need the full 30 days. Not every time, but I'm going to say that's a good starting point. Now, if it's an FHA or a conventional loan, then I have the ability. Typically, we close it in 21 days. Now, again, when I say that, don't hold me accountable. Like you said, you close in 21 days. Things could come up. But on average, on everything as far as going in majority of files, if you took an average, it's about 21 days.
About 21 days? Okay, let's just say to be on the safe side. Would you say it's about 35 days or 40 days?
Well, I think if you look at the situation where would you want to have a 35 or 45-day contract written, I'm not going to say every time yes, but if it would help, and I'm going to tell you why, because let's say something does come up. We'll still close that loan in 21 days or 30 days, but let's say that, hey, I wrote the contract for 35, 45 days. If something does come up, we don't need to get an extension.
Correct.
We don't need to try to get get an extension on the lock that I have on the rate. Things like that are important because now it's causing more effort. So if you're out there and you're like, hey, I can't get this offer accepted because they only do a 30-day close of escrow contract.
Now, I want to interject. Here's the thing. To bypass that, what we put in our contract is basically, hey, we're looking to close within 40 days or sooner of 40 days or sooner of a fully executed contract. So it doesn't mean we have to close on 40 days. I mean, if we can close early, we're definitely going to close earlier.
Perfect. All right. I got a question for you here. You ready for this?
I don't know. I'm a little bit scared, but fire off.
Yeah, you're twitching over there again.
I know. I think it's the Red Bull.
When you negotiate closing costs, what's the first thing you address with the seller? Let's say your client comes in and they have no closing costs, but they got that down payment. What do you negotiate?
Well, the first thing I do is I take a look at the property and see the condition of the property, because there may be some things within that property that may not meet FHA or VA guidelines. If there's like a hole in the wall or something, we got to negotiate all that up front to have the seller pay for it. Also, the next step is we call the agent to kind of get a feel for the seller and their position to see how motivated they are. Now, we don't always get this information because sometimes the agent will not tell us anything. It's just go ahead and submit your offer. At that point, what we do is we'll just go ahead and ask for closing costs right off the get-go.
All right. What's your question?
Well, my question to you is that I run across this all the time, and this is a more of a question for myself to you.
All right.
Okay. I notice every time I get a loan, a lender always picks my insurance company. Can I pick my own insurance company?
Of
and
course.
when do I need to turn that in by?
You listen, everybody has the ability to, if you're using an insurance company and you're comfortable with them, your car insurance, whatever you have, you can use them for your homeowner's insurance as well. And everybody has that ability. Everybody has that option. That usually comes into place after you get into contract. So you get into contract, you go in and you say, hey, I'm comfortable with X and X company.
Yeah.
I'd like to use them. Here's their contact information.
Okay.
And then my staff is going to get on point. They're going to go, hey, we need to call them, set up their insurance, and we're going to go forward. So, yes, everybody out there has the ability to choose their own insurance company.
So do I need to turn it in by a certain date, or can I do it like on day one? I mean, the last day or something like that? Like, hey, Dan, this guy I want to use.
No, I mean, here's the thing. I have people that I've worked with that are going to give a very good opportunity as far as what they charge you on a monthly basis. Now, typically, it's a person that knows that there's homeowners insurance, which I tell everybody up front, and they say, hey, more often than not, they're like, hey, do you have somebody I can use?
Yeah.
But there is people out there that want to take control of the situation, and they want to do it themselves, and they say, hey, this is the company, this is who I need you to contact, and everything is set up. So when they do get into that first payment, they're already set up and ready to go with that company.
And guys, you guys don't want to wait till the last minute to get this done as far as like closing a home, then finding an insurance company, because it makes it that much harder. Because remember, when you're making a payment, you're paying principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. So get all this done up front, guys.
So I had a situation. I want to tell you, this is maybe a harder question for you, but I don't know. You can answer it however you want. Some sellers on listings will accept cash and conventional over somebody that's a veteran, a VA loan, or an FHA loan. So you're out there and you're looking at a house and you're like, hey, why is this seller of this property only accepting cash and they're only accepting conventional loans? What is that?
Well, I see that majority on the short sales, and the reason why they want to do a cash deal, because the file can close quicker with the cash deal. Because if you do FHA or VA financing, what happens is the appraisal comes into the mix and it could kill the deal. And the seller just wants to get out, the listing agent wants to get the deal done, and the bank just wants to go ahead and just close out the file. But majority of the time, every time when you see a VA on there, the sellers don't want to accept those type of offers because they don't know how to do those type of transactions. That's why, we still go out and look at those type of properties that don't accept VA or FHA, because I can identify the home and see, hey, what needs to be done. And it could be pennies on the dollar as far as if there's a hole in the wall or if there's no carpet. We can address those issues up front and educate that listing agent, and we can get the deal done that way. So it's mostly education at this point.
It's mostly education.
Okay.
All right.
Let me ask you a question. As far as credit back, like how does that work, and how much can you actually get credit back if need be?
Well, credited back, I'm assuming you're talking about lender credit.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, so if you're a person out there and you're saying, hey, I need to get X amount of dollars back, it's really up to you. What happens is that I have a margin and a certain amount that I get paid as a loan officer, and any overage that I have, it's a rebate back to your closing costs.
Nice. Do I get one of those rebates?
No, not you, because we'll talk about that later.
All right, I'm going to hold you to it.
So what happens is we have the ability to, sometimes we offer an increase in amount of rate that you have, so you can get a higher amount of lender credit. Now, that's a discretion on the client. I don't ever discuss that, but if they don't have closing costs, that is an option, okay? And that's an option per the bank. So what I'm saying is there is options out there, but it's dependent on where the market's at.
Yeah.
It's dependent on how much rebate is going on at that specific time, and it's really dependent on where rates are at and how pricing is going for that specific week.
And guys, this is why it's so important when you sit down with me, and this is why I ask you what your current financial situation is, because if you can't make that payment, I'm going to go get you that money. And remember, you got a free appraisal with me. You got a free appraisal with Dan, and you got a home inspection with me. Literally, you can get into a home with pennies on the dollar, guys. Okay?
Yeah, we're going to go over that right now. So here's the thing. We're going to go ahead and give that Sammy's Pizza. We're going to give that lunch for two to Travis for calling in. We're also going to talk about what separates me as and to my competitors, what separates me as a loan officer in my company. Now, if you're out there you always got to look at what's important. Well, Nova Home Loans offers in-house underwriting and funding. Okay, that's important because it allows me to have control over whatever's out there as far as, hey, can we get this loan closed in time? Where are we at in the process? And if there is something that does come up, I can go down the hall and I can challenge it or discuss it with them. The other thing is we fund loans in-house. Now, that's a very, very important thing to have because that means we can control when the wire is sent to title for this thing to fund. We also have the ability to meet or beat close of escrow majority of the time. Again, I've told you I'm not perfect, okay, but I'm going to say majority of the time I have the ability to meet or beat the close of escrow date. We also have the ability to give status online progress updates. Now, this is a checklist of things that go on, and if wherever you're at in that loan process, you're getting an email from me going, hey, appraisal's done. Hey, we're going into underwriting. Hey, we're ready to fund. These things are important because you don't want to be out of the loop about where your loan is at. The other thing is you're going to get a Tuesday status call from me. That Tuesday call is an update from what you've already received. But now I'm going to be on that specific period of where we're at. You might have gone into, let's say, underwriting, but now maybe they have a conditional underwriting situation. I'm going to come and tell you what those conditions are. The other thing we do is I am a 7-day-a-week service. I go and I'm telling you, I work every single day. And if you have a question or you have something you need to address, I'm never too busy. You can always schedule a free consultation with me, with Chakits, outside studio. You can call us at 781-6682. That's 781-NOVA. If you guys have any questions regarding the show, you can call in at 257-5396. And also, the other thing that we discuss every single week, we discuss that we have a free credit services department. If you're not in a position to get a loan, if you're lower than where you need to be, if your credit rating is not up to par, I will put you on a game plan and I will put you in a position to buy a home. 6, 8, 12 months down the road. This is great. Okay, credit services and it's free is something that you really got to take advantage of.
And not all lenders provide this, but they will send you to a company which you guys got to pay. And guys, this is free, and you guys need to take advantage of this.
Now we're going to go over the free things in our show.
Free.
Only here.
Only
we don't
here.
offer it anywhere else. You come into my office and you don't know about the show. If you don't say Market Snapshot, you're not getting anything from the show. Here's the deal. Free CMA. What is a CMA, Chuck?
Stands for Comparable Market Analysis. If you're looking to buy or sell a home, what this does, it will show you exactly within this report what has sold, what's in pending status, and what's for sale. This is going to give you a general idea of what your home is worth or what to submit the offer at, guys.
I'm also going to give away a free appraisal. My appraisals run from $425 to $550.
Free.
Take advantage of me, right?
That's right. Free.
There you go.
I love free.
The other thing we give away is a free home inspection. Chuck, what are you going to do in a home inspection? Give me the details.
The home inspection, guys, you guys have a right as a buyer to pick any company that you choose. But when having a home inspection done, it covers 5 main components to a home: the foundation, structure, electric, plumbing, and the AC unit, guys. That's very important. Anything that is latent defects out there, which that means is behind the wall that they can't see, they can't disclose that, guys.
We're also going to give away a free first-time home buyer's guide. Chuck, what's involved with that?
First-time home buyer's guide. Basically, it's A to Z on how to purchase a home and to actually get your foot in the door in the right direction, guys. That's great information, so tune into that. Call in for that, guys.
And we go over the show, and I want to talk about what is out there in the market. We talked about some hot spots, not hot spots, but places that are appreciating. Mm-hmm. Is it a good time to buy? And if it is, where is the appreciation involved and where is it happening?
Okay. Now, as far as is it a good time to buy or not, it really depends on your situation. It's case by case. Mm-hmm. You know, there are really good spots in certain neighborhoods and there are really bad spots in neighborhoods. But I can tell you right now, one of the hot zip codes right now is downtown of 89101, just because of the development that's going on down there. So, guys, if you guys haven't been down there...
Real quick, Chuck, how much have they contributed downtown? How much money have they
$250 million with the downtown project.
Wow.
That's amazing.
I haven't been down there for a while, so I might need to go down there and look at that because, I mean, if they're putting that much money into that, that tells me their focus is there and they're really trying to pump that area up.
That's correct. Now, here's the thing, guys. If you guys are interested in buying a home, contact us. Now, we're going to make it very easy and streamlined for you guys, okay? Now, it really depends on the location that you're looking for. If you're hitting more on the south side of town, the price per square foot is going to be more. But if it really doesn't matter on the location, we can take you to the Centennial where you're going to get more bang for your buck, and homes are going to be a lot newer out there, guys.
Hey, Doug, real quick, I want to ask you, that lender realtor face-off, who won that? That was me, right?
No, that was me.
No, actually, guys,
Yeah.
you're both disqualified.
All right, Doug. All right.
There's a reason behind it, but I think we're running out of time, and I'll give you the update next week why.
Oh,
Decision is
yeah.
Guys, if you have a free mortgage assessment or if you have a question on your current loan or a question on anything regarding the show and you want to sit down and talk with Chakits or myself, you can call us at 781-NOVA. That's 6682. If you have any questions regarding the show, you can call in at 257-5396. I just wanted to say thank you guys for tuning into our show this week. We have a great show next week. I'll be tuning in. And remember, our goal here is to make you guys smarter buyers and smarter home shoppers. This is Dan French with Nova Home Loans. I'm here with Chakits from Simply Vegas, and we want to say thank you for your listenership.